You know, this appears to be a partially agreed order. So the state is requesting to read into the record what has been agreed to by the parties.
Very well.
The parties agree for the non-custodial parent to be established as the child's father today. The parties agreed to a geographical restriction to Dallas and the surrounding counties. The parties agree that the non-custodial parent has no additional children other than the child here in this matter, and that the child will be covered through state medical. There's no request for retroactive child support. There's no request for non-disclosure. There's been no family violence within the last 2 years. And the parties agreed to a standard possession order, and the parties do have a current visitation schedule, which they agree to continue. However, if there are no agreements in the future, parties will revert to the standard possession order. I believe that is the extent of the agreement. So at this time, Your Honor, the state would like to call the mother in this matter. Ms.
Very well.
Jasmine, state your name for the record.
Jasmine Ben?
Ms. Ben, did you hear what I read into the record as it relates to this case?
Yes.
And are you in agreement with those terms that were provided to the court?
Yes.
And are you requesting that the court accept those agreements and make them the order of the court?
Yes.
And as it relates to the issue of conservatorship, are you requesting to be named as a sole managing conservator for the child here in this matter?
Yes.
It is why you and the other party should not be named as joint managing conservators?
So I've been sole for the last few, the last 2 years. I've been managing all their things on my own. My mom helps me financially. They have stability, here.
And ma'am, when it relates to the issue of decision making, have you and the other parties to this case been able to make decisions together that are in the children's best interest?
Sorry, say that one more time.
As it relates to decision making, ma'am, with the making of decisions for the children's best interest, have you and the father been able to do that together in the past?
Times he would attend, he would come with me to some appointments, but I make most of their appointments and stuff.
Do you feel that it would be in your children's best interest that you primarily do that alone? Can you repeat your answer, ma'am?
Down, please.
Ma'am, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. Can you repeat your answer?
I was saying yes, please. Yes.
And the state has used minimum wage for the calculation of support today and requesting that the father pays a total of $113 per month for state medical. Are you in agreement to that amount?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yes, the state is requesting that the father pays $113 per month for state medical, and that's based off of minimum wage. Are you in agreement to the father paying the $113 per month?
Yes.
And as it relates to child support, again, with the use of minimum wage, given credit for no additional children, the state is requesting that the father pays child support in the amount of $262 per month. Are you in agreement to that as well? Ma'am, you're on mute. Please keep yourself off of mute and answer the question.
No.
And what are you requesting the child support be set at, ma'am?
Something that we can both work with due to his situation.
Can you give me a number, ma'am?
It would have to be his. I can't.
All right, so just to confirm, you're not wanting it to be set at 262, which is off of minimum wage, but you want it to be set at a lower number that you don't know what it should be.
Correct. Because it's gonna be a little hard to
And do you find that setting child support lower than what it should be set at based off of minimum wage would be in your child's best interest?
I think 150. That was something that we had an agreement before going this far.
Ms.
That's
Ben,
what we agreed with. Yes.
the question that was asked is, do you believe that setting child support lower than the guideline amount would be in your child's best interest?
Yes. because
And can you
we'll
explain to the
cover the
court how receiving lower or less money will be beneficial for your child?
because their needs are typically met by me and my mother, so they don't go without. And due to his, situation, I'm trying to be in a mutual, position.
All right. Nothing further from this party. At this time, your Honor, the state would like to call the father. Sir, can I get you to state your name for the record?
Zachariah, his son.
And Mr. Hassan, did you hear what I read into the record that was previously agreed to by the parties?
Yes, sir.
And are you still in agreement with only those terms, sir?
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat your answer, sir?
Yes, sir.
And as it relates to the non-agreed issues such as conservatorship, are you requesting that you and the mother be named as joint managing conservators?
Yes, sir.
And do you find that you and the mother being named as joint managing conservators will be in your children's best interest?
Yes, sir.
And in the past, have you and the mother made attempts to make decisions together to address concerns for the children?
Yes, sir.
And how did that work out, sir?
It worked out fine. I've taken my children to dental appointments, uh, clinics. I've taken them to the pediatrician, and I've agreed or disagreed to certain vaccines for my children. And I've made just day-to-day decisions along with the mother of my child, but as of lately, I haven't really been in contact because of my medical condition going on. But I feel like I don't see how me not being a part of it would impact my children in a negative light.
All right, thank you.
I don't see how me being a part of the decision making will impact them in a negative light. My apologies.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, just to confirm, you are currently unemployed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Have
No,
you?
I am employed, but I am not working currently. I'm on leave.
All right. So you're not receiving any income currently?
Yes, sir.
All right. And have you applied for or are you currently receiving Social Security?
I have applied for disability.
And
I'm waiting for it to get
are you currently
approved.
receiving?
I have a case number if y'all need it.
All right. And just confirm you stated that you're not currently receiving disability, is that correct? But you have an open case?
Yes, sir.
All right. The state has used the minimum wage for the calculation of support and requesting, sir, that you pay state medical in the amount of $113 per month. Are you in agreement to this amount?
No, sir.
And so do you understand that this is the lowest for the setting of medical support based off of minimum wage?
Yes, sir.
All right. And as it relates to child support, the state is requesting that child support be set at $262, which again is based off of minimum wage. Are you in agreement to this amount, sir?
No, sir.
And could you explain to the court why you don't agree to paying the minimum amount for the support of your child or children in this case?
Because I currently have 2 years to live and I'm waiting on a bone marrow transplant, so I'm not going to be able to work in the foreseeable future. Whenever I do get approved for disability or when I do get approved for short-term disability through my job, I will be able to provide the minimum, if not more. But currently, I have to pay for my doctor's visits every time I get transfusions twice a week, which is $40 every visit. I have to pay for $80 a month in medications because I'm taking 35 pills a day, and I have to pay for gas, food. I'm living out of my car. So
Hassan,
yeah,
what are you requesting that child support be set at if it's not set at the minimum wage guideline amount?
um, 150.
All right. Do you have any additional information you'd like to offer to the court at this time?
Um, I'm living out of my car and I'm not currently working, and I have no other way of even providing finances to my own medical situation. I'm
Right.
receiving Parkland financial assistance until Medicaid is approved because of the disability.
All right, thank you, sir. And do you understand that the state is requesting
But
that you court costs associated with today's hearing?
could you repeat that?
Yes. Do you understand that the state is requesting that you pay the court costs associated with today's hearing?
Um, I had requested if it could be waived.
All right. Nothing further from this party, Your Honor.
Oh. Next witness, please.
No further witnesses, Your Honor. We're requesting a ruling on the contested matters.
Very well. The parties' agreements are confirmed. Parties are appointed joint managing conservators. There will be a residency restriction to Dallas and contiguous counties. Medical support is set at $113. Child support is set at $150, and that's taken into consideration the party's wishes as well as the father's medical condition. Costs are assessed against father. Good luck to y'all, and you're free to leave.
Do you have health insurance available through your job for Noah?
Yes,
Is he currently covered on that health insurance?
yes.
How much does that cost you per month?
Cost me roughly $217, 216 and 96 cents, something like that. For just for
Okay.
medical.
Okay, now that 216.96, is that only for Noah, or does that include anyone else on there?
Because of how the medical insurance works, it covers multiple children, regardless of how many, if it's 1 or 10.
Okay, how many other children does it cover?
I have 2 children that are covered under that insurance policy.
Okay, are you also covered under that insurance policy?
Yes, that's because of the way the insurance works. I'm required to have medical insurance under that to have children covered.
Okay, so for that 216.96 per month that you pay, that covers you and 2 other children and 2 children, including Noah, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so 3 people total.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Now, where do you currently work, Mr. Ibarra?
I currently work in Port Arthur as a security account manager.
All right. What company do you work for?
Allied University Services, Security Services.
What do you get paid doing that?
Roughly 72,000 a year on salary.
And before that, what were you doing for work?
Before that, I was unemployed from between June and August. And before that, I was a behavioral coordinator at a middle school in Beaumont, Texas, making approximately 51 or 52,000 per year, hourly, or 25 per hour is what it was.
Okay. Take a step back. Did you say you were unemployed from when to when?
From June 2023 until August, until I started this job with Allied. And I did, I believe it was 1 month that I took Texas unemployment. Might have been
Okay, how
2
much
weeks.
was that?
I don't have the paperwork with me, but it might have been maybe $500 total.
Okay. And before June, you were working where?
Green Dot Public Schools at King Middle School as a behavior coordinator, working with the youth.
Okay. How much did you get paid at that job?
$25 per hour.
And how long did you work at that job?
From September 2002 until May of 2023. So 1 school year. I may have been quote unquote employed between June and July. However, we were not working, so I did not get paid for those times.
Okay. So for June and July, were you still receiving paychecks from the school?
No.
So did your job just end at the end of the school year? Or were you let go from that job? How did that job end?
It's very hard to explain because we didn't work because the school was out, but we also didn't get paid if we weren't there because I was hourly. So they didn't have any opportunity for us to work summer school due to their financial issues. So I was essentially unemployed or put on leave until the next school year, which I did not start.
Now, but your paychecks during the school year, did they account for those months that you wouldn't be working during the summer break?
No.
No, they
That's how
did
it
not.
Okay.
No, they did not.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. His contract is for a year. And generally speaking, I think teachers are allowed to either spread their paycheck over the entire 12 months or just for the 10 months they're in school.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ibarra, do you have any extraordinary expenses that will be coming up for you over the course of this next year?
Yes, on November 10th of this past year, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer that has spread to my lymph nodes. So I have had one surgery and two other procedures that I guess a biopsy and one other procedure. We also got a catheter port put into my chest, multiple x-rays, CAT scans, PET scans. I start chemotherapy on February 5th, and it's going to be a minimum of 3 cycles. My out-of-pocket expense max is $9,100 through my insurance. So the expectation is that between now and the end of my treatment, I will have to pay $9,000 out of pocket, $9,100 out of pocket.
Okay. Now, I know that you said this, but you said a lot. So what upcoming procedures do you have?
I have multiple scans throughout this thing, but currently we're going to take the BP cancer treatment, which is a total of 9 weeks minimum. So each session is going to go from Monday through Friday. So I believe it's $500 per session. So at least $2,500 per week is what we're looking at. Now, granted, when I signed the insurance form, that was at 20% insurance, but my insurance says that I actually pay 40%. So I'm expecting to pay $1,000 per day that I take this treatment.
But you said it was 9,000, right?
Yeah, my total out-of-pocket cost. So by the time
when does your treatment start?
It starts Monday the 5th next week.
So it's now.
Yes, sir.
And how long do you anticipate that it's going to last?
9 weeks.
9 weeks.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to have to pay that entire 9,000 in the next 9 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Slade. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Hunter. Okay. Mr. Ibarra, do you have any other children?
Yes, I do have one other child, Ethan Elias Ibarra, which I have a split joint managing conservatorship, and he stays with me 50% a year.
Okay. Is that child under the age of 18?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. I passed the witness, Your Honor.
Call you next week.
I'll call Miss Nunez. Miss Nunez, what is your full name?
Anna Karen Nunez.
What is the name of the child that we're here for today?
Noah Liam Ibarra.
Do you have insurance available for Noah?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is it through your employer?
No, I recently applied for Medicaid for him because he didn't have insurance for a couple months, and his insurance usually changes like every month, maybe every 6 months. So I didn't want him to not have insurance. So he has CHIP right now.
Okay. Now, you heard Mr. Ibarra telling us about his cancer diagnosis.
Yes.
Has Mr. Ibarra spoken with you about that?
He has not. I heard it from my son the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay. You haven't had any conversations about how you might make that work with Mr. Ibarra? And
No, I have not.
Okay.
No.
All right. That's all I have for this witness. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Call you next week.
And no further witnesses, Your Honor. Stay rest.
I got some questions. Mr. Ibarra, can you unmute, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're currently working for, what is the name of the company you're working for now?
Allied Universal.
All right. And they're paying you $72,000 a year, right?
That's correct, sir.
All right. You're going to be able to continue to work throughout your treatment?
So what I talked about with my general manager is that I will probably be put on leave of absence, at least at the minimum during the week that I'm taking the treatment. I'm thinking probably 2 weeks every treatment due to depending on the side effects. So I'm anticipating
So for the next 2 months, you're going to have some difficult time.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this $9,000 that you're going to have to copay with your insurance, do you intend to pay that in the next 9 weeks?
Yes, sir. I believe that if I don't pay, they won't give me the chemo, the treatment if I'm not, if
Okay.
I'm behind on.
So whatever
cash.
happens, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
by April 1st, it's gonna be over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said that you have medical insurance on you and the two children. Do you also have dental insurance?
Yes, sir.
Is that part of that 215, 216 a month, or is there an additional charge for the dental?
No, sir. It's an additional $48.20.
All right,
And
and
I
that's,
also have
but that's
eye
for,
for them.
yeah, unfortunately, the state of Texas doesn't require you to carry eye insurance. Well, I'm
Yes, sir.
glad that you do, but you're not required to do it. But
Yes,
the
sir.
dental is required, and you said that's 48 a month, and again, that covers all three of y'all.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at your divorce. Hold on, y'all.
Yes, sir.
So this job that you have at Allied, Mr. Abar, is that pretty solid? Is someplace you think you're going to be able to, a job you're going to be able to keep for a while?
Oh, yes, sir. I think that's going to be a, a necessity, unfortunately, given the circumstances with this cancer. And one of my fears is that, you know, with the treatment that I am taking, there are some pretty hard side effects. One of those being that I could get a secondary cancer, a different type. So if all goes well and we can get treated, then I'm probably going to have to stick with them to cover expenses. And,
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Ms. Nunez, is there anything else that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
Yes, sir, I do.
What's that?
Prior to on May 2022, Noah had to have some dental work done, which came out being a little over $1,000 that I had to pay up front.
Okay.
Going back to the divorce papers, it does say that we are to do 50-50 on anything that's paid out of pocket. So
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Elias had to pay $534. And even if I've messaged him like every month or every week, he still owes $140. And this is from a dental work that he had back in May 2022.
Okay. So
That's
Ms.
one.
Nunez, I'm very restricted in what I can rule on, okay? In order for me to
Okay.
make a ruling on your behalf regarding unpaid medical expenses, there has to be a specific type of lawsuit filed in my court. That is not before me today, so I'm not allowed to make a ruling on that. Hopefully, Mr. Obara do what the divorce decree advises him that he's required to do, and a lawsuit won't be necessary, okay? But if that happens, if the money is not forwarded the way it's supposed to be, then you have the right to hire an attorney or go through the AG's office and see if they'll file a lawsuit for that additional balance, assuming that it's owed. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But that's
Another
not
thing
before me
was
today,
that,
so I can't rule on that.
okay, that's okay. Before he, I guess, was told that he had cancer, he was not agreeing to the amount just because he wanted to keep it at $420
Sure.
for absolutely no reason. So I don't know if that would have anything to do with it, but apart from that, he also has some ammo business, which he not too long ago sponsored for some shooting events that was posted on social media.
Okay.
So if he's providing free ammunition from his company, I'm not sure how that could be a priority as to why he's not able to pay the child support that he's supposed to, but he can give out free ammo for.
I don't know. That's why it's in front of you, Miss Nunez. So I'm the one that's going to have to make the decision on how much he's going to have to pay.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't have to agree, Miss Nunez.
Right. I understand.
I mean, whether you or I or anybody else thinks that it's the right thing to do is irrelevant. He doesn't have to agree to the terms that the state of Texas tells him he's supposed to do. He can say, you know what, I'm going to take my shot and go in front of the judge. That's his right. It's every citizen's right to do that, to take advantage of the legal system that we have.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir. That was it. Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Abar, is there anything else that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
Well, Your Honor, I just wanted to, you know, to give my part of the portion in regards to this. You know, I just want to say that I do my best to support my child, especially emotionally and being physically there, as well as financially. You know, even though, of course, I don't agree with a lot of these hearings and, well, the child support, excuse me, that's my work phone.
Turn your phone off,
I
Mr.
apologize
Abar.
for that. Turn this. It's the work one. They almost put a setting where you can't turn it off. But, I do appreciate the court considering these extenuating circumstances that, I didn't foresee. And it's my job as a parent to be there for my child and support him as much as possible. And then that includes helping his mother as well. So I appreciate the court allowing me to come before you guys and plead my
Sure.
case. And I do request that, due to these circumstances, that's taken into consideration at least for the next year or two until.
Why would it be a year or two, Mr. Barr? This treatment is supposed to be finished by your own testimony in the next 60 to 90 days.
Just because of the amount of money that I have to put out as soon as
You said
possible.
that it was
could
going to
ease
be,
debt.
that it was going to be paid in the next 60 to 90 days. Why would I let it drag on for years?
Well, if over the course of at least a year due to debt, because if I don't have the cash money, I'd have to go to
Oh, well,
credit
see,
card.
Mr. Barr, that's specifically why I asked you if you were going to have this money paid in the next 60 to 90 days, and you said you were.
Oh, yes, sir. Utilizing
Now you're
credit
saying that
cards.
no, that's not what's going to happen, that you're going to take out some type of a debt situation where you're going to pay in installment basis the money that you owe to the insurance company and the hospitals.
I understand. Your Honor.
Right.
Well, I'm glad I was able to say it because the thought process
Okay, well,
that I would have
hold
to pay
on,
it with.
hold
Yes,
on.
sir.
Well,
Okay.
that changes completely how I was going to rule.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that goes. I mean, I was going to take into consideration that you were going to lose $9,000 in the next 60 days, and you're not going to lose $9,000 in 60 days. You're going to lose $9,000 sometime in the next year or two.
Yes, sir. With
Well,
interest.
that's what I mean. That's just a debt, Mr. Ibarra.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any specific knowledge, Mr. Ibarra, that this 9,000, that your current job situation is going to change? You're not going to make the $6,000 a month that you're currently making?
I don't know. It depends on how the
Okay.
situation, I cannot, if this cancer does get worse or we have to resort to 6 treatments, then, it may, and I'd say that on the sale of the
Sure.
health thing.
And Mr. Barr, I want you to know, I do hope that everything works out for you. I do.
Yes, sir.
I mean, but the problem is that I can't set child support, Mr. Ibarra, on what you might do in the future. Okay.
Understandable.
That's what a future lawsuit would be required to take into consideration for.
Yes.
Right now, I have to set child support based on what you earn and what your health insurance is. I would take into consideration the extraordinary healthcare cost that you're going to have, except for the fact that it's an extraordinary healthcare cost of $9,000 that you're going to pay over the next year or two. So, if I'm just looking at it on that basis, we're talking about anywhere from $300 to $600 a month that you have to pay. Well, that's just another debt. That's just a debt. I mean, it's a used car payment. It's cell phone bill. That's what it is. And and while I understand that it is an emergency or at least a medical cost, Mr. Barr, it's still just a debt. And the laws of my state are that your debts are irrelevant when it comes to child support. Whatever you earn, that's what child support is supposed to be based on.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, like I say, if that was something that you were going to have to pay that, $4,500 a month for the next 2 months, that would certainly have an impact on how I was going to set your child support. But if it's just going to be a debt that you're going to carry over the next year or two, I can't consider it.
I understand that. Well, and I don't even have that money. I mean, I might be able to I'm going to put 3,000 this month, but
right.
I don't know how else to pay for that because I won't, we don't have that kind of money.
Right. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, Mr. Barr, to stay healthy. That's just, and the child, no one needs you to be healthy. I mean, that's neither here nor there. And don't misunderstand, Mr. Barr, the fact that you are or are not a good parent is irrelevant to me in regards to the lawsuit that's in front of me today. The lawsuit in front of me today is just about numbers. It's just math.
Yes.
Okay. It's just math. Whether or not you're a good dad or a bad dad is irrelevant to the lawsuit that I have in my courtroom today.
Understood.
Anything further from the state?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
The court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find, based on the testimony of the parties, that there has been a material and substantial change of circumstance. Based on the testimony of the parties here today, this is the ruling of the court. Mr. Ibarra will maintain the health insurance and the dental insurance on Noah through his employer at this time. I gave him $70 credit toward the health insurance and $15 toward the dental. Child support is going to be set at $800 per month. That did give him credit for one of the dependent. That will be effective February the 1st, today. February 1st of 2024. Court costs due by Mr. Ibarra, but I will give him until, let's say August the 31st of 2024. Does that take care of all the issues before me in this case today, Mr. Slett?
Yes, it does, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Nunez, Mr. Ibarra, what's going to happen now is Mr. Slett's going to send me a new court order. If it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it, give it back to them, then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you. You don't have to be satisfied with the ruling that I've made today. If either party is dissatisfied with the ruling, you have 3 business days with which to file a written notice of appeal with the Jefferson County District Clerk's Office. Your appeal has to be specific. You got to tell the district court above me what part of my ruling you disagree with, and you're also responsible for sending a copy of that written appeal to all the other non-appealing parties. Mr. Nunez, Mr. Ibarra, I appreciate your patience here today. I appreciate your candor, being honest with me. You're free to go. Try to have a good weekend. And good luck to you, Mr. Ibarra. I really do mean that.
I'm not able to access my computer system right now for my notes. But Ms. Alabadi, we reset the case the last time for you to get an attorney. Is that correct?
We reset the last time to see about getting everything organized, but I had submitted a motion because I broke my bone and I have a doctor's appointment today. And also because of what Mr. Kamlich had sent me via text message, I called the Attorney General's office and they told me exactly what I could do and to obtain a lawyer.
Well, the Attorney General's office is not asking for you to get a lawyer. You're asking to get a lawyer.
No, yes, I know that. I didn't know the steps.
Okay, why should we reset the case again? We already reset it before.
Because the situation changed. I was hoping to work things out with Mr. Kamlich, but there's no civil communication between us.
Well, that's where I come in. I make judgments.
No, I understand that, Your Honor.
So I don't understand why I should be prohibited from making a decision today.
I just feel comfortable now if I obtain a lawyer, because I'm not just going to obtain a lawyer for child support. I'm also going to obtain a lawyer for some other issues regarding the situation between Mr. Kamlich and myself.
Well, I'm only going to deal with basically a couple issues today. If you want to hire an attorney for something else, that's fine, but you'll have to, of course, file motions for that. Mr. Kamlich, are you in agreement to proceed today?
Yes, sir. I am in agreement to proceed with today.
Then let's go ahead and proceed. The issues we have are 3 main issues only, which are, is there an arrears and how much that is? How much a payment on the arrears if there's arrears? What child support should be for the future after today? And what medical support should be done for after today? Those are our 3 major issues that we need to discuss today. Anything else is not relevant to the case.
I will start by calling the mother. Ma'am, state your name for the record.
Karina Alabaidi.
And you are the mother of the child before the court, correct? Or the children?
The twins, yes.
Okay. And the child support obligation in this case is set at $2,070 per month. And that went into effect October 1, 2021. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's also cash medical support of $362 per month and dental support of $60 per month, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still providing the health and dental?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, has there been any change in circumstances of Mr. Kamlich that would justify a modification today?
I know that he's in training right now at a different location. Other than that, that's all I'm aware of.
What does Mr. Kamlich do for a living?
He works in finance in the automobile industry. So he's like a finance manager.
And in 2021, when this obligation was set, do you know where he worked, where he was working at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was it?
It was for a dealership. I believe it was, he goes to different locations, but I think it was the Richardson location, the Toyota Richardson location, if I recall correctly.
And to the best of your knowledge, he's a finance manager.
Yes.
Now, as far as what he's doing now, if you know, is he still working in the same field?
Yes.
Do you know if he's still working for the same employer?
I don't know because they have different locations. So I don't know if it's the same employer, the same group. Sometimes it's a group that owns multiple dealerships.
And do you believe that the support should modify, or are you objecting to the modification?
I'm objecting
And tell the court why you object to the modification.
because as if you see the history of how much money Mr. Kamlich makes and how long he's been in the industry, he doesn't make less. Right now, he told me he's only making that because of training that he's in. But once he's done with training, he makes 20-something thousand a month. You know, like it fluctuates, but it's always at the higher end. And I don't think that it should be changed.
Okay, so you believe the judge should deny the modification because it doesn't qualify for modification. Is that your position?
Yes.
Okay. As far as the child support arrears, the arrears are showing as of February the 28th, 2023, his arrears are $38,425.23 in child support arrears. And in medical support arrears, it is $5,645.39. Do you have any objection to those amounts being confirmed today?
No, ma'am. That's correct.
You believe he owes you these amounts?
Yes, ma'am.
The arrears payout on the child support arrears that was set in the arrears payout, do you have any objection to him being ordered to pay $350 per month on the child support arrearage and $100 per month on the medical support arrearage?
No, I don't have any objections to that, ma'am.
I am going to pass this witness, and I call Mr. Kamlich. Sir, state your name for the record.
And that's Kamlich.
And Mr. Kamlich, you are the person who was ordered to pay child support and medical support to Miss Olabadi, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start with the arrears on the case. The numbers that I reviewed with Miss Olabadi, do you agree or disagree that you owe those amounts in child support arrears?
I disagree with most of those, ma'am. I've been, after the last order, about a couple of weeks after that, I was diagnosed with a stage 5 advanced cancer and hadn't worked for 11 months. I had called to request a modification and 3 times on record. And I almost literally died on my first 2 months of chemo, that they had to change my chemo, was in a hospital, and then had to go through chemo the whole time of
So,
the
Mr.
11 months.
Kamlich, your basis for objecting to the arrears is that you were in difficult circumstances and you believe that the circumstances that you were in somehow negate the arrears that accumulated that went unpaid?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Judge, I have the pay record that I'd like to offer to be admitted as State's Exhibit 1. May I share my screen?
Judge, you're on mute. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Judge. This is the pay record for this case. Mr. Kamlich, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I offer this pay record as State's Exhibit 1 and ask that it be admitted.
It's a minute. Can you please scroll down so I can see the rest of it?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kamlich, you see from State's Exhibit 1 that your child support arrears as of the end of February, this is where they are, $38,425.23 for child support arrears, and then $5,645.39 on the medical support arrears.
Correct.
Besides the fact that you were ill and were unable to pay the obligation, do you have any other basis for believing that you do not owe this money?
It's just the fact that I was not working for a year almost and was going through the chemo is the main reason why.
Judge, may I stop sharing?
Yes.
So, Mr. Kamlich, were the children living with you after this order went into effect in 2021?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So that's a no, they didn't live with you. Did you make direct payments to Miss Olabadi?
When I could have, I submitted some payments, and so did my mom. She sent her some money to try to help as much as she could, but also because I had to get through the treatment and the payments for the treatment and all that stuff, I did not have enough money to do anything.
So the payments that you said you submitted those to the state disbursement unit?
On my end, I submitted those payments when I could, when I was able to, yes.
To the
The payments that
disbursement
my
unit.
mother, yes, ma'am, the payments that my mother dispensed to her were just between both of them.
Okay. Now let's talk about your current obligation. So the child support amount that was set in the order that was signed in 2021 set your child support based on 2 children before the court, no other minor children, and with mom providing the health and dental. So it was, I'm sorry, it looks like it was 1 other child, not before the court. So it was 22.5%. And the child support amount that was calculated was $2,070 per month. What are your circumstances today that are different from back in 2021 when this support obligation was set?
So I'm not a finance manager. I'm a sales manager. I'm not in training. I'm fully employed since December, end of November, December. I had sent in my pay from then when it was announced, and that's what I'm making. I just don't make. The industry itself is not making as it was prior to that time and prior to COVID and stuff.
Okay, so you're a sales manager now, and you've always been a sales manager, not a finance manager?
I was a finance manager all the way, I believe, to 2018.
And now you're a sales manager?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is your employer?
Stonebriar Chevrolet.
Stonebriar Chevrolet. And how long have you worked for Stonebriar Chevrolet?
Since I believe the last week of November.
Since November 2022?
Yeah, the last week of it.
Okay. Now, back in 2021, who was your employer when this obligation?
Richardson Dodge.
And why did you change jobs from Richardson Dodge to Stonebriar Chevrolet?
Well, I was, my GM was let go, so we had the new ownership and decided to part ways.
So were you fired or did you?
I was.
You were fired?
I was fired. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. And how much are you alleging that you make now?
I make anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 on an average.
6,000 to 8,000 per month?
At the most. Yes, ma'am. That's before taxes, before anything.
Okay. I believe I have some pay stubs. Let me try to pull them up.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kamlish, is this your pay stub?
I'm zooming into it. Correct. Yes, ma'am.
See if I can make it bigger.
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Sideways. Okay, here we go. And so there are 4 pay stubs. Let me just pay date 3/6. And these pay stubs show pay date 2/21 and then 3/6 and then 3/10. This last one is pay date 3/20 and it shows pay period ending 3/15. So this is for 2.5 months of this year, all of January, February, and half of March. And it shows that your year-to-date gross pay is $31,570.17. Are we all seeing the same thing, Mr. Kamlich?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so $31,570.17. I'm going to divide that by 2.5 months because this is period ending March 15, which is right in the middle of March. That's 2.5 months of pay. So I'm getting $12,628.06 as your average monthly income.
No, ma'am. If you see on the one for the 10th, it was a one-time bonus for $4,000. And it was a one-time because we worked out through the 5 days of snow. So we had extra pay. That's why there was not one in January and there was only one in February.
Bonuses do count, Mr. Kamlich, and that's why I'm averaging the income out for the entire period up to this date for the entire year, which to this point would be 2.5 months. So the average income is $12,628.06 per month.
Even though it was a one-time bonus?
Yes, sir. Bonuses count. All wages, overtime, bonuses, commission, that's by statute.
Okay.
Do you have any other minor children besides these two children?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And Judge, may I stop sharing?
Yes, ma'am. And State Exhibit 2 is admitted if I did already.
Yes, Judge. Thank you. State's Exhibit 2, I offer and ask for it to be admitted. Thank you, Judge. Let me just write that down. So, Mr. Kamlich, you have one other child, you said?
Correct.
And how old is that other child?
3.5 years old.
And does that other child live with you?
Correct.
And that is your biological child?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I didn't take testimony from Miss Olabadi regarding the amount of her current health coverage, but assuming it's around the same as what it was before, and I'll take testimony from her again if necessary. But at the time in 2021, the cash medical support was $362 and the dental was $60. So that's a total of $422. The child support therefore would be $2,033, giving you credit for one other child, Mr. Kamlich, based on your pay stub. So, Judge, at this point, the state would ask for the arrears to be confirmed. I pass the witness. Judge, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I've been trying to get my computer to unfreeze on another program. Ms. Olabadi, is the insurance that you have now at or about the same amount or higher than it was in the last time we did a child support order?
Your Honors, 221 and some change every paycheck, and I get paid bi-weekly.
So it's at or about or more than
It's a little bit more, it's not much more, but it's a little bit. So 220 is about 440.
and the dental's about the same or more than it was before?
It's 50, so it's like 108. So
per paycheck.
no, monthly. It's per paycheck, it's 54 and change. So at 55, so that's 110 monthly.
Mr. Comlick, is there anything else you want to add before I make a decision on your case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So I know you maybe change employers, Mr. Comlick, but your income didn't change very much. It's not very much of a change at all, really. Maybe before today, maybe it changed, but as we stand as of today, it hasn't changed that much. So I'm going to do it based on the new numbers that the state has calculated today. Child support is going to be changed from 2,070 to 2,033. The medical support will remain at 362, and the dental support will remain at 60 per month. You did not make payments there. I cannot retroactively modify an order for something that happened before. Anytime you have a significant change in your employment, you need to come back to court immediately and file a motion to modify. The Attorney General's office can choose not to file a motion for modification. They don't have to just because you ask them to. And typically they will not do that if it's been less than 3 years since the last court order, because they have so many cases, they're not going to probably do that kind of case, because then everybody would be running to court every month or so asking for a modification. You always have the ability to get your own attorney to file your own modification if you have a significant change. And they can probably do it faster than the Attorney General's office. Now, hopefully, of course, you won't have that problem. Hopefully you resolve your health issues. But if you have that problem in the future again, then you can also file your own motion to modify. I cannot decrease your arrears because you didn't make payments. And as I said, explained, I cannot go back and modify it for the past. Your payment was set, and it's your duty to ask for it to be changed, and you didn't do anything.
I did do it, Your Honor, 3 times. I did call 3 times on the record.
Okay, you're not listening to me because I explained that the Attorney General's office can take your request, but they don't necessarily have to do anything. You don't have to wait on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify. You can.
I was in a different country, Your Honor.
Well, you're coming up with more and more excuses, but it's still ultimately responsibility to make a motion for modification.
I'm not coming up with excuses. I have all my paperwork. I have all my PET scans from day one. I have everything to show you how everything was done. I have pictures of myself when I was dying at the hospital, swollen out all over. I have
And I'm doubting you
surgeries
there,
all
sir,
over.
but did you file a motion for modify with the court?
I did, sir. I did
Yeah.
3 times
Show
online.
me where you filed a pleading with the court, not with the Attorney General's office, but with the court.
With the courts, I did not because I was out of the
Okay.
country, but I did it with
Then if you didn't
the
file
Attorney
it with the
General.
court, then we can't change it. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, and you're not listening to me. You don't have to wait on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify. You can file one on your own. If you have an attorney, they may even be able to do that without you being present. It depends on the nature of the case, but sometimes the attorney can do it without your presence. But if you didn't file a motion to modify, a judge cannot change it. As I said, the Attorney General's office can choose whether or not they want to file a motion to modify. Even if you made several requests of them, they chose not to file a motion to modify. So I'm trying to explain that to you so that you have this problem again in the future, that you're not relying only on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify or any other matter that you want to file. You can file things on your own. You don't have to wait on them. They are a party to the case, and they may or may not file something. And that doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to do it yourself. So that door is always open. Nothing was filed with the court. That's the only thing I could consider. I'm not trying to dispute that you called them, but that still is not what you needed to have done ultimately. All right, so you owe child support arrears of $38,425.23. You got to pay some kind of reasonable amount on that at $350 a month. It could be much worse. It could be $600, $700 a month. I think you understand. I usually use the metaphor for car payments for a lot of my cases, that if you buy a $38,000 car, don't expect a $100 payment. I think you would probably appreciate that probably more than the people I usually talk to. So even at that amount, I'm sure that a $350 payment on a $38,000 car would probably not be what would be set today. It would probably be a $600, $700 or worse payment. I think because you owe a lot of money, that's why the payment is high. That's the only reason. If the arrears were lower, then I would set a lower payment. At interest on the $38,000 is about $160, $170 a month. So that would just be the beginning of starting about making payments on it just to break even. Medical support arrears are $5,645.39. I think you have the resource to pay $100 a month on that until you pay that in full. That's my ruling. You're obviously able to appeal my decision within 7 days, or there's a second kind of appeal that can be filed within 30 days. But that's the ruling that I'm making. Ms. Bedard, do you have something else?
I do, Your Honor. I just want to clarify for Mr. Kamlich that this proceeding that is before the court, this is the request to modify. It's just a matter of that his circumstances appear to have turned back, but he requested a modification as he's telling the court, and the state filed one. But the circumstances are what they are today now that we're in court.
All right, then y'all are done with court today. You can press leave on the Zoom to exit out. Thank you.